But let me tell you how I angered the little progressive Democratic voters. You know those blue bracelet chicks. You know the ones that put the hole in the ozone layer with all the the Aquanet. When I tell you them people was hot with me today, because I told them, I was like, David Hogg is not it, baby. I don't give a damn. Y'all all behind him because survivor's remorse. Because y'all are just like, he survived. And that was the whole thing. Well, he survived a mass shooting. Bitch, I don't give a fuck. Do you see there is a mass world burning and you're trying to get behind the next great white hope? Y'all didn't learn. Y'all ain't learned. And see this again. This right here selling, because y'all ain't learning. Y'all still, like I said, jumping behind people that are absolutely telling you who they are, and you're not listening. Now, of course, he's, firepower behind, gun reform. And he's like, young voters, and we need to absolutely get young voters and young people in these seats and flip these seats to have young people. Yes, we would like to have younger people in some of these seats. But there are some young people in these seats that don't know what the fuck they're doing and are not trying to find a clue. And they're more so concerned with the title of it than actually doing the work. It's more than you going out here and, doing a couple of sound bites and then thinking you're actually doing something. That's not doing anything. And here was his stance on why the 2024 presidential election lost the young voters. He said, rather than to vote for somebody that they didn't completely agree with, that they don't feel judged by, baby, we can, number one, judges you all day, every day, because you don't have as much money to him. So he doesn't think that you absolutely belong. And then all this stuff that you out here hollering about gun reform and whatnot, you think he's not judging you? You think that the Republicans are not judging you? Then he said, then somebody who they do agree with, but they feel like they have to walk on eggshells around constantly because they're going to be judged, ostracized, or excommunicated. And why are you going to be judged? See, here's the thing. You are letting everyone know that you had a problem with Kamala and her skin tone, because why would you be judged by this woman? What could you have done to be judged by this woman who only knows you as a survivor, who only knows you as someone who speaks about gun reform, who could possibly partner with you to bring in other people? But why would you be judged by her? Could it be talking about how you said that young people need to be focused on getting laid instead of how to pay their rent? So you might be the people that Mike Johnson is talking about in regards to being in their mama's basement playing video games all day and not working. Because that's exactly what he was saying. The fact that you are worried about someone judging you. And because you might say the wrong thing because, perfectionism. No one's expecting you to be perfect. He was like, Republicans used to be judgmental assholes. Baby, when did they stop? Because every time you see them, they always have their glasses on their nose and looking down at you like, the poor. Like, do y'all really need all this Medicaid? You really don't need all this SNAP. Like, you don't need FEMA. Saying that Democrats, created a culture of if you say the wrong thing, you're excommunicated. Baby, let me explain something to you. See, this right here, that's how I know that he's a change agent. He is setting the precedents to say, well, the Republicans accepted me more, this and that. So y'all keep standing behind this motherfucker and you're going to get the same shit that you got in Fetterman. You're going to get someone that you cannot rely on. But y'all, want to coax and coddle his ass because he survived. Yes, that was admirable and it was fucking terrible what he survived through. However, we're on to another thing, because there's been plenty others after that, and these people are surviving. And there's one young lady that was in yet another one. So again, miss us with the one time, and you know what, you might be upset with that, but it's just like, at this point, when you're saying that young people need to be focused on who they're sleeping with rather than their rent, when rent crisis is getting beyond out of control, yes, we can see how you could get excommunicated because you're saying some fucked up shit. You're saying stuff that, maybe you're not focused on it because, again, with where you're at now and where you've been elevated to, you no longer have to worry about that. But there's a lot of young people that still do. There's a lot of young people that are still trying to help out their families and whatnot. And this is what they face on a day-to-day basis. So, all of this childish bullshit, this frat boy mentality, this, take ownership of that bullshit and sit over there. But again, baby, when I tell you them little people was upset because they was just like, no, he is the firepower. Light your own fire. Light your own fire. This is the problem. You all are just so focused on, you need some hero to come save. Be that person. Be the change. because this mediocrity, this molecule of, you know, effort of communication, and y'all see it as fiery passion, this is how we keep getting fucked up every time. Every single time. And again, we do want younger people in these seats. However, the goal is to bring younger people into the process so that they can make the changes, not so they can party and bullshit. Yes, if you can't party and bullshit and get your work done like we used to do, because we used to go to the club, party and bullshit, and we still went to class, we still went to our jobs, and we did it again. But it's seemingly, young bull, you ain't been able to get laid, and that's the problem. So I think that's more of a you problem than, you know, a young people voting problem.